Hey y'all, it's Lola the Manager, your new favorite project manager, tech junkie, and entrepreneur. Hold up. New. Y'all know that I'm y'all favorite, okay? Anyways, welcome back to life as a project manager. If you've been following along for a while, you know that in season 1, I walked you through all the PM fundamentals from project charters all the way to change management plans. Well, I'm excited to announce that I will be officially launching season 2. And in this season, it's all about leveling up your PM vocabulary, diving deep into different types of projects, advanced PM terminology, or terminology you just may hear in different project settings, and helping you secure that PM role. We'll be covering job search strategies, resume tips, portfolio building, and all the nuances that separate the beginners from the pros. In today's episode, our season 2 premiere, we're starting with something you've probably been doing or heard about, but you never really knew the industry terms that went along with it. And that is migration versus implementation projects. Come on. If you call yourself a project manager, you have probably already managed these two types of projects. You just didn't know the industry terms. Understanding the difference helps you communicate better with stakeholders, plan more effectively, and choose the right project management approach. Let's get into it. Migration projects. What are they? A migration project is a project that involves moving data, systems, and processes from one platform or environment to another one while maintaining similar functionality. What are the key characteristics of migration projects? The key thing here is you're transferring from one existing system to a new system, which means you're doing something that I like to call like for like. You're going from one platform to another. They're both pretty similar. We're just switching up how we're using it. And it may be for different reasons. Maybe the cost, maybe it's outdated. No matter what it is, we're going from one system that we already had into a newer one. It typically involves data mapping and conversion. That's just a fancy way of visualizing how we're going to take the information from these custom fields and within this database and put them in this new one. We're going to focus on maintaining continuity. What that means is we want everything to pretty much be the same. This is not a major change. This is just a shift. We're not going from alphabets to numbers. We're going from A to B. Often requires parallel operations during transition, which means we need both of these to kind of work at the same time because this is a system that we actually need and utilize. And there has to be significant testing to ensure data integrity, which is just another way for saying that we really have to make sure that this system that we switch over to operates exactly like the system that we just had, and at no point did we lose any information. Now let's get into some real world examples. A migration could be as simple as transferring your contacts, photos, and apps from an iPhone to a Samsung Galaxy. So these are similar systems, but they're in two different environments. That's all. Now, if we level it up just a little bit, a moderate example could be moving company emails from Microsoft Exchange to Google Workspace. We're just going from Outlook to Gmail. Same type of systems, but different environments. It's going to require just a little bit more work because now we're dealing with multiple emails within a bigger environment. And then a more complex example, which is actually one of the first projects that I've ever worked on, was a migration project, and it was very much complex, okay? And so it was switching an enterprise call center from Avaya to Cisco. In simple terms, we were switching phone providers, and the Avaya system was those phones in the offices that's black with all these different buttons and stuff like that. It was one of those, and we were going from that into Cisco, which was more of like a cloud-based type of software that gave us more data, more reporting, easier monitoring of call center agents. It increased productivity and efficiency, and it was just way better. Oh my gosh. Woo. Major project, very technical, completely complex. And when you hear the term enterprise means we're talking about the entire organization, the company as a whole. So this is a huge environment in which we're doing this change. There's a lot of moving parts versus something as simple as like, hey, we just want to move the contacts in this phone into this phone. Now let's talk about implementation projects. An implementation project is a project that introduces a brand new system, process, or technology that didn't previously exist within the organization. So the key characteristics of this type of project is the fact that we are building something from scratch. We do not have anything to work with. We've never had this type of system here, this type of software here, this type of process here. And so we kind of have blinders on. We definitely need to be a little more cautious in this type of environment because it might break something that we don't realize because we've never had anything like it before. It typically requires more training and change management. When you're introducing something completely new to people, to users, you have to implement a lot of training to make sure that everybody understands what it is at a basic level. And then you have to implement a change management plan because this is something that pretty much affects the entire organization or department, depending on where this is taking place. And you need to come up with a plan for how are we going to manage this implementation after this project is completed. What are we going to do when there's issues? Where are people going to go if they need assistance? Because like I said, this is completely new. May involve creating new business processes. So majority of companies nowadays, they have their own knowledge base or their process docs that kind of tell you, hey, this is how everything works. This is how you use it. It's almost as if like there's a library of resources for how to navigate your company's systems and software. And so with a net new implementation, you definitely need some new business processes, standard operating procedures, manuals, whatever they call it. You need some new ones. Often requires integration with existing systems. So just because it's a new system doesn't mean it doesn't communicate with other systems that we currently have. Think about having an email system. Let's say our emails are connected to Zoom. Just because we're switching our email provider, our email platform, we still need to use Zoom. We still need to connect to Zoom. So now we need to integrate that with a system that we already have. And success metrics are typically based on adoption and functionality. So were we able to get everybody into this new system, able to use it with no issues, and it functions the way it's supposed to. It's not breaking every day. We don't know what's wrong. We're not having those type of issues. That's pretty much how the success of that implementation will be assessed. And of course, I have to give you some real world examples. So in its simplest form, an implementation project may look like setting up a new customer feedback form using Microsoft Form. Your company, they sell a product, a service, and they would like to get feedback from their customers. And in the past, what they've been doing is just having the sales reps call and kind of ask people like, oh, how was this? Or they may even send an email and say, hey, just send us an email, a comment, some Google reviews, and we need more in-depth feedback. And so now we're going to implement this new technology, this new process where we create this Microsoft form so people can leave their responses and feedback there. Now, a moderate, right, slightly above that implementation project could look like deploying a new CRM system. CRM stands for Customer Relationship Management System for the sales team. So let's say the sales department, they've been tracking their leads or the contact information using an Excel sheet. And we're like, hey, we have way too many leads, way too many clients, way too much work for us to be doing this manually. Hey, let's go get a Salesforce system. Let's go get another type of CRM where we can embed all this information so we can have a little more automated process so we don't have to spend so much time and labor doing this manually. That can be an implementation. And the reason, of course, is it's a bigger environment. So now we're dealing with a sales team. So we're implementing this system specifically for this department. And lastly, a complex version of an implementation system would be implementing an enterprise-wide ERP, which stands for Enterprise Resource Planning Software. I know, so many abbreviations across multiple departments. So an ERP system is pretty much like a database for, or a hub for like the managing of the processes that like HR and budgeting or finance and all that come together. If you have a different definition, please let me know. But that's how I understand it. The example would be like SAP or Oracle or, oh my God, there's another one at the top of my head. Microsoft Dynamics. So like I said, anything that you see with enterprise, that is going to be considered something complex because you're impacting the entire organization. Whereas something very small and simple like, hey, create this little form so we can send out this this survey and get some feedback from these customers. Now, as a project manager, you do have some focus areas in these two type of projects. So when we're looking at migration projects, as the PM, you are responsible for the data integrity and validation, risk management around data loss, minimizing downtime during cutover, and ensuring feature parity or improvements. Since we're going from old to new, there's a lot of data involved in this. Your biggest thing, in my opinion, is the risk management of that data. Out of everything in this entire project, that migration project, it is the data integrity, the managing of the data, because we don't want to lose anything. And then the plan if we do lose anything. And of course, making sure that when it's time to do that cutover, and when we say cutover, meaning that official cut off the old system, turn on the new system. Like when we do that cutover, we want to make sure that any downtime, any time where people are not having access from old to new, that it's minimal as possible. So that means if we need to do cutover after hours, all offices are closed, and then we have a team that's working after hours to do this cutover so it doesn't impact business operations, then you need to be coming up with the plan for what that looks like. Even worse, if we can't cut business hours because it's a 24/7 facility, how are we going to get this done during business hours and not impact how the business functions? So maybe we pick a time during the day where it's the least amount of traffic. That means it's 3 a.m., then it's 3 a.m. You get what I'm saying? But those are like your key things to focus on. Now, when it comes to the implementation projects, as the PM, your focus is user adoption and training, change management strategies, process development and documentation, and stakeholder alignment of new capabilities. In my opinion, the most important thing for you to be focused on is that user adoption. This is something completely new. Change makes people nervous. If I introduce this new technology system process to this team or this company as a whole, and it doesn't immediately get their buy-in and it's not functioning the way it's supposed to, we have a problem. And this is where your change management plan comes into place. So I would say in migration projects, risk management is the number one thing you're focused on, whereas in implementation projects, change management is the number one thing that you're focused on. Now, one of the things I want to note is that many enterprise projects, meaning projects that impact the entire organization, are a hybrid of migration and implementation. So yes, to answer the question that you've probably been wondering and you were trying to think, is Lola going to get there? I am. There is a possibility that you may be doing two projects in one. And so an example of that would look like when replacing an outdated CRM, right? So something that we have that's outdated means it's existing. That means we're going into the migration field, right? You might migrate existing customer data while also implementing new features that weren't available in the old system. And there you see the implementation because we're adding new features, right? So that's a time where you may see both happening at the same time. So the bottom line is knowing these terms helps you sound way more professional in these meetings. They also help you choose the proper project management approach. Not everything is agile and not everything is traditional. Also, different types of projects require different type of planning strategies and risk considerations. That's why immediately, as soon as you hear them implementing something new, you already know that you're going to be dealing with change management. And then now you strategize and plan for that. As soon as you hear migration, you know that we are dealing with a lot of risks. And so you plan for that. As always, thank you for watching. This is officially the first episode of Life as a Project Manager, Season 2. Drop a comment and let me know what PM term you want to know next, what technical term you would like to learn next. Don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel and please join the Discord where you have a community of project managers just like you that are looking to connect and grow and of course secure their role. And you would actually find a cheat sheet connected to this video in the description. So once again, thank y'all for being here. You could be anywhere in the world, but you are here getting professional development with me. Until next time.